Kids learn about money from their parents. They know whether you tend to save up for fun purchases or pull out the credit card when temptation strikes. Since they're learning from you, talk to your kids about using their money wisely. Start by admitting your own mistakes, talking about your family budget, and discussing the importance of sharing some of your money with causes that are important to you. There are gentle ways to help them become wise stewards of their own money. To learn more, go to stcumoney.org.
Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business talk show with your host, Ryan McNeese. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and thank you, John. John Johnson is here in the studio with us. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
John is actually the chairman of the Team St. Luke's Golf Tournament that's going to be held at the Kalispell Country Club this year. Tell us what that tournament is for and the big picture of how you got involved in this tournament.
Yeah, the tournament is to raise money for the St. Luke's Rehab Center, especially the wheelchair athletes. And what we do, the funds we raise from the tournament help purchase wheelchairs for the athletes, plus it covers travel expenses for the team when they're traveling to tournaments and stuff. The tournament's been going on for about 10 years. This is our 11th year. Previously, it was held at Downriver Golf Course. Mm-hmm. Last year, we moved it to the Kalispell Indian Tribe Country Club.
Yeah, so formerly Spokane Country Club.
Formerly Spokane Country Club, and just a huge success. It was wonderful. The facility was great. Everyone loved it, and everyone's excited about it again this year.
Let's back up a little bit, and let's talk about St. Luke's Rehabilitation Center, big picture, and how you got involved in this, how this was near and dear to your heart. Professionally, too, you own Integrated Financial Services.
Correct.
But you are also president of the Spokane chapter of Health Underwriters.
Correct.
So tie this together for us in terms of how St. Luke's Rehabilitation Center became a special near and dear passion of yours.
The tournament itself was started by Spokane Health Underwriters and NAFA, which is another association for insurance brokers.
Okay.
And so we started the tournament together as a partnership about 10 years ago with St. Luke's. And since I've been on the board of Spokane Health Underwriters for a number of years, and then this is my second year as president. When I joined the board, they told us about the tournament and St. Luke's, and I thought that's something I'd really want to get involved with. And so I did, and it's just been awesome. Every time I go to St. Luke's and go through the rehab center, I'm just amazed at the stuff that they're doing and how they help people that have debilitating injuries.
Right.
And the rehab is just incredible. The staff is incredible, and it's just become near and dear to my heart to be involved with it.
John, I couldn't be more appreciative. I had an opportunity to spend about 3 weeks at St. Luke's. I had a issue Guillain-Barré about 7 years ago, and I could not be more complimentary of, as you said, top to bottom, the service, the nurses, the doctors, food services, the whole 9 yards. It's just an extraordinary facility, and I personally couldn't be more appreciative of how they assisted me and my family. So.
Yeah, and it's just great speaking to you, Ryan, because you have had that personal experience. But there's been folks that have been involved in the tournament that really don't know completely what the rehab center does. And so on April 26th, which is Wednesday, we're having an open house and reception for our previous sponsors and for new sponsors, as well as for others who are interested in participating in the tournament this year.
So that was April 26th.
April 26th.
At the facility.
At the facility, 510 South Cowley Avenue. And it'll be from 2 to 4. We'll provide refreshments, and then tours will be given of the facility.
Okay.
And it's the tours that's really exciting, that communicate so well what they do.
Well, I think you're right, John. I think when you get an opportunity to actually visualize the infrastructure and the magnitude of what an organization like this can provide. I think sometimes you really do have to see it to really fully understand it.
That's exactly right, and it kind of puts the meat on the bones,
Who were some of the sponsors last year? Who are some of the sponsors this year?
Great question. Our major sponsor last year was Giza Federal Credit Union, and they're our major sponsor again this year. And then some of the other sponsors we've got coming in this year are Boughton Construction. Let's see. I had a list of them.
Well, here's the good news. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. The support in the community has been incredible. We have sponsorships remaining available, but they are going very fast. This year we're about twice as far ahead where we were last year at this time. And again, I relate that to the success of the tournament at the country club. And so they are going fast. But we have different sponsors like, longest drive, shortest drive, hole-in-one contests. We have 3 hole-in-one contests, different sponsors for those. And then we have the teams themselves. We have room for 36 teams, and we have 24 sold already. So they are going fast.
They're going fast, but there is some availability.
There's some available, and the teams are $700. That's for four members on the team, obviously, and includes a nice dinner after the golf at the Country Club, and they do an excellent job with the dinner.
And if we didn't say this already, September 12th, Tuesday, September 12th,
correct,
is the actual date of the tournament.
That's correct.
As chairman of this event, what goes into the planning of this? Because I'd imagine it's substantial. But give us a little bit of feedback on what it takes to put an event like this together.
It is substantial. We've started planning basically right after tournament last year. We had a summary in October last year to determine what we did, what we can improve upon. And then in January is when we start going full bore. The board or the planning committee meets once a month right now, and the sponsorship sales, the recruiting of teams. We have 2 tremendous gals at Providence, St. Luke's that really have done a tremendous job for the committee in getting sponsors. And, of course, with Providence Health, the network that they have through their sponsorships and their charity events has really helped a lot. And then, we have to plan for help. There's a lot of help that needs to be on the day of the tournament, volunteer help. A lot of the sponsors will donate goodies, so we have goodie bags for all the golfers.
Okay, swag bags, as they
grab
say.
Bags, basically. So there's a lot that goes involved in terms of coordinating with it.
Well, it should be a great event. What is the best way for somebody that's either still interested in sponsoring or interested in putting a team together or volunteering? What's the best avenue for folks to find out more information about this?
The best avenue is to call 509-474-4675. They are the ones that you contact to reserve your spot, either as a sponsorship or as a team.
Okay.
And then one other thing I wanted to add, too, is that the Kalispell tribe have been tremendous in working with us. This year we're doing something new as well because we had a lot of golfers come from out of town last year. So this year the Kalispell tribe have put together at Northern Quest a package where the room for a night is $129. They will provide transportation to and from the golf course.
From the facility
back
to
the hotel to the golf course and back. And so we're excited about that. It's just another little goodie that we've been able to put together this year to make it even more successful.
I think as you're describing, it says a great deal about the tribe themselves.
Absolutely.
And how much they're vested in the healthcare benefits of what St. Luke's is doing.
Absolutely. They've just been awesome.
Let's talk a little bit more about how you came to be involved in this, in that being the president of the Spokane chapter of Health Underwriters. Let's talk more about your profession and your business, because in a sense, to me, it goes hand in hand for your passion in providing access to health services, reasonable, affordable payment for families to be able to enjoy the resources of our healthcare system. Let's talk a little bit more about your business.
Sure. I started Integrated Financial in 1990 as an independent agent and broker. Healthcare obviously was a big issue where we did group coverage and individual coverage, life insurance, long-term care, and then the investment side. And so it's grown steadily since that point in time.
26 years, if I'm doing my math correct.
That's correct, and a ton of changes like in any industry, especially the healthcare market. It's just a sea change,
right.
And it's challenging for everyone.
Right.
Not only for the carriers, the hospitals, the doctors, the agents, the public. It really has been a challenge for the last number of years.
What would you say one of the, like you said, there's many roads we could go down in this conversation, politics or otherwise, but what would you say one of the largest changes is from 1990 when you started in the healthcare world to 2017?
Well, the biggest changes, and this part is not good as far as I'm concerned. When I first got into the industry, I could go to 12 or 13 different carriers to get quotes for groups as well as individuals. Unfortunately, because of all the changes, we only have really 3 carriers we could go to in Eastern Washington.
And I think that point really resonates in that it doesn't take a lot to really understand that you go from that many players, if you will, in a region, in a community, down to 3, I think you said. It just from a price standpoint, there's no competition.
Exactly right. There's no competition. There's less choice. There's less freedom. It becomes more restrictive. And it just makes it a difficult market for everyone across the board.
Let's actually take a short break and come back. I want to explore that a little bit more. You have 26 years of looking in the rearview mirror to understand what's worked, what hasn't worked, where you see healthcare going in the next 5 to 10 years, and again want to be able to close with highlighting and talking more and more about Team St. Luke's golf tournament that is going to be held at the Kalispell Country Club, because this can be a great event and a great opportunity to raise funds for St. Luke's Rehab. Thanks for being with us, John.
Thank you.
You're listening to SpokaneTalksOnline.com, Spokane and North Idaho's business and community talk station.
If you're like many shoppers, you love to find a deal online. Or you shop online because it's so convenient. And you probably know thieves love to go online too, to try to steal shoppers' credit card information. When you're shopping online, you can start protecting your credit card information by investigating the website you're shopping on. Make sure the online retailer lists a real phone number and a physical address. Read the site's privacy policy and search for reviews and ratings of the retailer. You can read more about safe shopping online at STCU's financial education blog. Go to stcumoney.org.
Some of our local veterans are at risk, and they deserve our support. Hello, my name is Michael Shaw, and I'm the Executive Director of the Guardians Foundation. Our Housing First program has housed hundreds of local homeless veterans and provides a safe, nurturing environment. But right now, your support is critical. Please text at 8888 or visit us online at theguardiansfoundation.org. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Kent Adams, co-host of Business Talks. I'd like to introduce you to a couple of friends, Lisa and Alan Gwaltney of Window World. I've known Lisa and Alan for a number of years and know them to be honest and caring folks. They take pride in their windows, sliding doors, and blinds. So when it comes to your home, call them direct at 509-456-5880. That's Window World of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. And if you tell them Kent sent me, they'll give you 5% off a 5-window installation. Call them today at 456-5880.
Welcome back to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and we're here in the studio with John Johnson, and we're talking about Team St. Luke's golf tournament. It's going to be held at Kalispell Country Club on September 12th. That's Tuesday, September 12th, and all the proceeds and the fundraising for that particular event are going to go to St. Luke's Rehabilitation. John, we appreciate you being here. Tell us, I guess first and foremost, there's a lot of sponsors that have really stepped up last year and this year, but have stepped up to really see this organization succeed. Tell us about who those sponsors are.
Sure. We have Giza Federal Credit Union. They're from the Tri-Cities, and they've opened a couple branches here in Spokane. They've been great to work with. We have Washington Trust Bank, Boughton Construction, Bellevue Healthcare, Golden West Mobility. They have vehicles for wheelchairs, and so they do a great job.
Yeah, directly tied into this.
Directly tied in. Country Financial, Washington Dental, or Delta Dental is another one. A new sponsor this year is AMR, American Ambulance.
Okay, Medical Response.
Yeah, Medical Response. Kaiser Permanente, they have just moved into market, taking over Group Health. And so they're our first-time sponsor this year. We're excited about that. And then Randall and Daskin, our
great law firm, Randall Daskin.
And then Windermere Real Estate. Those are the main ones, but we have other smaller ones as well.
Well, and I know you have other smaller sponsors and a lot of volunteers that play a part in making this event happen. But the major sponsors that you just listed, it goes without saying, these events can't happen without these organizations stepping up and buying into the understanding that this is a great organization and is benefiting the folks of our community. So
exactly.
I appreciate the folks you've listed there. Right before the break, we were talking about really how you got involved in the St. Luke's tournament in general, because you're involved in the healthcare world, healthcare insurance, financial services, and act as the president of the Spokane chapter of Health Underwriters. In your business, as you indicated, 1990, so 26 years in this business, you've seen a lot of changes.
Yes.
And you'd indicated the players, the number of players that create the competition for the healthcare insurance industry has dwindled, at least in our area. I think you said to 3. And who are those players at this point?
Primera, which, by the way, is a sponsor of our tournament as well. Primera, Assurus, Regents Health, and then Group Health, Kaiser Permanente.
Without trying to be overly political one way or the other, I think you're in a great position to assess where we've come from, where we're potentially going. Clearly, in the news in the last couple of weeks with the House and Senate, et cetera, current administration, we've seen a lot of changes and potential changes in Obamacare. How do you see the current issues that we're dealing with right now? Where do we go from here? This is obviously one of our probably largest issues to tackle in our country.
Yeah, it's challenging to say the least. A couple of things that I am in favor of with Obamacare was the elimination of pre-existing conditions.
I agree.
I mean, that's a big issue.
I agree legally.
And whatever they come up with, that will definitely be a part of it. The other thing is covering minors or children or dependents until age 26. I was surprised that came through, but I think it's good.
What you're saying is to maintain coverage.
To maintain coverage
up to 25,
up to age 26.
Oh, 26.
Yeah, and it was a little bit surprising they put that in. I could see where they kept them covered under their parents until they were through with school, but they made it to age 26, which is fine. A lot of people are with all the news and say, well, gee, it's going to change overnight. Whatever they change, it's not going to change overnight.
I agree.
It's taken 7 years to get to where we are now. Yeah.
Right, and I think, John, you're making a great point. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the news sources like to have these cliche, quick answers that let's turn left, let's turn right. But I think what you are explaining and illustrating for our listeners is there are no simple answers. This is a complex issue nationally, globally, and it's, as you said, taken 7 years even to get to what we're looking at here. And I had a conversation earlier today with an individual that the discussion really surrounded the core question, which I think brings up the math of the healthcare problem, which is the core first question is, do we believe healthcare is a privilege or a right? And in this country, if we decide, as Americans, if we decide that it is a right, that really takes you down a certain path of here's where we start our framework or schematic of decisions. Or do we say it's a privilege and we're going to exclude a large number of folks? Okay, that's where the math and the monetary decisions make. And I think people want to jump to how do we fix this, but don't necessarily answer that first critical question.
Well, that's exactly right, because there's so many roads that can dovetail off of those two options.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That those aren't necessarily just the two options.
Right. Yeah, and like I said earlier, that whatever they put in place, you're not going to see any changes until 2 or 3 years out. By the time it gets implemented and things of that nature.
We won't see the ripple effects for 2 or 3 years.
And that's the biggest thing that I like to assure my clients, and when it comes up in the public, it's not going to happen overnight. It can't.
This is a generalization, but you do see a lot of this, so you probably can make some guesstimates on this. For ordinary small businesses in the Spokane area, what are the percentage increases that you've seen in healthcare costs over the last 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
10.
They're easily pushing 12 to 15%.
Over the last 5-10 years.
Yeah, annually. I mean that's
right. So
that's a challenge.
Year over year.
Yeah,
it's significant.
It just keeps multiplying, and so that makes it much more difficult. The other downside with Obamacare the way it is right now is that besides not being affordable, you have huge deductibles, huge premiums. And a lot of people, I hear it all the time, say, well, why even have a plan? I'd rather pay the penalty that, because the deductible is so high, I can't afford it anyway. So they've got to shrink that gap.
Well, and I think you're the right person to get the opinion from in terms of what I would call boots on the ground. You're getting the phone calls.
Yes.
And this dovetails a little bit, but you do a lot of work in Medicaid planning as well. Tell us a little bit about that, because I feel from a legal perspective in our law firm with elder care, estate planning, I find myself leading folks to someone like yourself that discusses Medicaid planning. It's a very common question. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, good question. It comes up a lot. And then about 6 years ago, I brought a gal on board with me. Her name is Val. And she just does a super job. But she is my Medicare specialist. She does supplements, Med Advantage, Medicaid. And I make no bones about it. I think she's the best around because she knows it so well. And of course, that dovetails into our work with Social Security at the same time. We're going to start doing Social Security information meetings, educational meetings, because it's amazing. People, as they approach retirement, don't understand Social Security completely and how it works and where it ties into Medicare and Medicaid.
I think that's even an understatement. I think what we see in our office, and I know you do, most folks don't understand, and rightfully so, the complexity of Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid spend down, et cetera, is so complex. Thank goodness for someone like you and your firm and the staff that you have, because walking folks through it, it's an extremely stressful time. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Medicare and someone embarking on retirement, or Medicaid, and what we see most of the time is in the Medicaid world, it's somebody that's potentially a parent that's potentially gone into a nursing home or like-kind facility. A lot of stress. And I certainly have appreciated, I know yourself and your staff have eliminated a lot of stress in the folks that you've assisted.
Well, we remember the one we helped last year from,
right.
That was a tremendous thing when we were able to get them taken care of within a day or two, and they were so
I appreciate you bringing that example up, because I think what comes to mind from that particular case is you had an out-of-town family, matter of fact, across the country, that was very interested in the care and seeing the success of the healthcare scenario working out for their loved one, but it was very difficult at arm's length. They were across the country, and the other issue was resources. They didn't, the potential individual patient didn't have the resources that are oftentimes necessary to get adequate care. and yourself and your staff came in and really kind of assisted, I would say, both ends of that spectrum. You assisted the family across the country and their needs and stresses, as well as the individual with very little resources here. So we certainly appreciate that, but I think that just goes to show the diversity of situations you can handle.
Well, not only that, but it's rewarding.
Yes,
with all the
satisfying.
stuff that's going on, and to be able to step in and help clients like that, to me and as well to my staff, that's the most rewarding aspect of what we do.
Well, and I think it goes back to the comment I made a little bit ago about that decision as a country, that do we believe people of all socioeconomic, where they are in that socioeconomic issue, deserve good health care. And that particular issue that you were just speaking to, the person didn't have the resources, but they deserve the care. And it is out there, and we need to, I believe, need to keep creating and working on our system to help all areas of our society. Before we run out of time, though, I would like to come back and talk about the Team St. Luke's Golf Tournament. Again, the tournament's going to be September 12th, Tuesday, September 12th. That is going to be held at the Kalispell Country Club. And again, I think, thank you very much to the Kalispell tribe for participating in this. And John, is the chairman of this tournament. You put in an unbelievable amount of time. I'm sure the other folks that are on the committee have as well.
Yes.
Any last words about the tournament?
Yeah, I got two. First of all, Paul Olson, I want to give a big heads up to as well. Paul was basically the head of the tournament for the first 10 years. And so whenever I have an opportunity, I give him kudos for his vision, what he's done.
Well said.
And then the other thing is a challenge for you is that we have an open spot, obviously, for another foursome. So I'd like to have you guys join us.
All right, we'll have to chat about that. And the pro out at the golf course is Mr. Lindeblad?
Yep, Gary. In fact, I went to high school with Gary, and he was at the Indian Canyon for a number of years. This is his second year at the tribe out there at the country club, and he said that they have done such a fantastic job, and Gary's been great to work with as well.
Well, my understanding is he does a great job.
Yeah, he's super.
Well, if I can impress on our listeners, St. Luke's Rehabilitation Organization is just an extraordinary organization. I appreciate personally the time you put into really promoting this tournament, fundraising for this organization. I hope others do the same. Thank you, John, for being here.
Thank you.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.
Debt is a lot more common than most people realize. 20% of American households spend more than they make. It is also possible to break free of debt. No matter where you are, there are some habits you can develop to help you live debt-free. Pay down your existing debt as fast as possible. Pay with cash when you can. Stash cash for emergencies. Ask yourself if you really need to purchase something, and take some new tactics to earn more if you can. Learn more about living debt-free at stcumoney.org.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. How? By caulking their windows, programming their thermostats, replacing their incandescent light bulbs with LEDs. Simple things, really. But the energy they saved was enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at AvistaUtilities.com.